I'm just giving you to that. This is the birthplace of Osaji for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana. This is his family house. This is not Nkrumah's own house, but his family house. Nkrumah himself, he didn't build house for himself, when he became president. The only house that he built was the one he built for his mother. One was at Accra, Osunya the Bay Estate. That place was named after the mother. That estate, was named after the mother. So the mother was living at Osu. And at Nkofu here, he also built one for his mother. And it is at the other side of the road. That is where the mother was even buried. So this is his family house. So this is now a museum. It was turned to a museum when he died in 1972 by Achampo. So this is where he was buried first before his body was taken to Accra during President Warren's time. Okay, so the structures are in there, so let's go in.
Yeah.
You only know about the Accra. The reason is that when the body was taken from this place, they were not taking care of this place again. So they tried to revive it, but the patronage it was very low. So it's like it was neglected. But the museum is still there. It has been existing since 1972. So we need a lot of things here to make a lot of people patronize in this place. This place needs to be developed so that a lot of people will come here. We have a lot of stories here. This is Nkrumah's mother's kitchen. This is family house. So this is mother's kitchen, and their bedroom is on top there. We'll go there, and this is where he was buried. Nkrumah was buried here. So he was buried here before his body was taken to Accra during President Warren's time. So his mother's name is Nyaniba, Elizabeth Nyaniba. We call Mama Nyaniba. So this is Kwame Nkrumah's mother's kitchen. And inside the kitchen we have some of the original utensils that the mother was using. So these are some of the original utensils that Kwame Nkrumah's mother was using. That's an oven that she used to smoke fish. There's a pot and another utensils, and we have an oven there. There's an oven that she used to smoke fish. So there's the oven.
Is he a fish monger or?
No, in every household they have this thing, so that when they get something they could smoke it to preserve it. Most of them at that time, that is how they used to preserve their food stuffs, especially when it comes to meat. They smoke it or they salt it because there were no fridge, and so at that time. This is where he was buried. So he was buried here before his body was taken to Accra during President Warren's time. And when he died in 1972, he died in Guinea. He died in Romania when he was in Guinea. So his body was returned to Ghana and he was buried here. And that was the first time, his body was being preserved. So his body was preserved here for 16 years. So at first there were machines here which was connected to his company that when you come to this place, they press those machines and it will bring his body up for you to see his body. So you could see his body lying in a glass coffin in here. And the body was here being preserved, and it was here for 16 years, from 1972 till 1988. That is the 16 years period. So in early 88, then our former president, non-late president, Jerry Lawrence, he came here to see the family that Nkrumah is a great man. So he wanted the body to be moved from this place to Accra, because at that time our roads from Takoradi to this side were not good, and there was no any electricity here. So he informed the family that if people come to this place, they complain to him a lot. So he wanted the body to be moved from this place to Accra. He told the family, and the family disagreed with him that he is the president, and if he wants to move the body from this place because of bad rules, then he should face the rules so that the body remain here, and people will come here or travel to Nkrumah's hometown to see his body. So they told him, and he didn't also agree. So he went, and at that time, because he was the president, he withdrew his services from the preservation or the maintenance of this place. So the body started decomposing. Kwame Nkrumah's body, who was preserved at that time, started decomposing as a result of that. So when it was decomposing, then the family members told him that he should come for the body. So he sent soldiers all of a sudden to come here for the body. So when they came, because it was the family were not aware, they tried to resist them, they tried to negotiate with them, and it was soldiers who came for the body. So they also didn't agree. They were doing as they were instructed to do. So they came here, they tried to pick the body and so on. So that is the reason why the body is no more. It's no more here. So they destroyed it before taking the body. So they have to put a curfew here. They didn't even get a family member to perform a libation here. So they destroyed this place and took the body away. So that's the reason the body is no more. And this is where Kwame Nkrumah was born. We just came from the kitchen, and you could see he was buried in front of the kitchen. The mother gave birth to him in front of the kitchen. He was born. Kwame Nkrumah was born on Saturday, and that Saturday they were having a funeral right here, and that was the funeral right of his grandmother, his father's mother. So Mamenya the bar was in the kitchen preparing food for the visitors that came for the funeral. Then she fell into labor. But when she fell into labor, at that time there were no hospitals and clinics around. So when you get into such situations, you'll be held by the local midwife. So they wanted to take the woman to the family house. That is Mamenya the bar to the family house to deliver, but she couldn't go. She got stuck in front of the kitchen. That is where Nkrumah was buried. So she gave birth to Nkrumah at this place. So where Nkrumah was buried is where he was born. And the reason why he was buried at where he was born is when they gave birth to him, he was not showing any sign of life. He was not breathing well, and he was not crying at all. So they thought the baby was going to die. Looking at the baby, they thought he was going to die. So they tried to, put in effort to let him survive. And they tried to make a lot of noise that when the child hears the noise, maybe he might cry. But after the noise, the child was not crying. His father even came, picked the baby up, getting him and playing with him for so long. He even went into his house and brought a gun and fired it up twice that maybe the baby might be frightened by the gunshot, but still the baby was not crying. So one of the relatives that helped in delivering suggested that if the baby is not crying, then they should get him something to eat. So they brought a ripe banana, and they stuffed the banana and started feeding the baby with the banana. So as they were feeding him, then they started crying. So it was very surprised that on that same that Nkrumah was delivered, he ate banana on that same day. So when he grown up and when they told him about the story, what happened during his delivery, then he said if that's the reason, then whenever he is dead, he should be buried at where he was born. So when he died, is where he was buried first before his body was taken to Accra. And on the tomb, we have this torchlight, and that is Nkrumah's hand holding the torch. So this represents his last statement that he made before he died. Nkrumah died in Romania, and he died by throat cancer. After his overthrow in 1966, he went to stay in Guinea with his friend Sekou, and he was even a co-president to Sekou. So he was there and he fell sick in 1972. So they moved him from Guinea to Romania for further treatment. So when they got to Romania, within some short time, then he died. So when he was about to die, they made a statement written on the wall. Says, as far as I'm concerned, I'm in the knowledge that death can never extinguish the torch which I've lit in Ghana and Africa. Long after I'm dead and gone, the light will continue to burn and be born aloft, giving light and guidance to all people. as far as I'm concerned, the knowledge that death can never extinguish the torch which have lit in Ghana and Africa. Long after I'm dead and gone, the light will continue to burn and be born aloft, giving light and guidance to all people. So, Nkrumah never dies.
So, what causes his cancer? Throat cancer?
Most people ask that question, whether Nkrumah smokes. He doesn't smoke. The throat cancer came as a result of the Kolongogo bomb. When he was president, they used to welcome president with bouquet, especially when he goes somewhere. And similar thing happened to Nkrumah when he went to Kolongogo, and they were presenting a bouquet. So they gave that bouquet to a small girl to present to Nkrumah. So as the child was presenting it, then Nkrumah personal bodyguard noticed that it was bomb. So he put the child and the bomb exploded. So some of the smoke, smoke of those bombs contained free radicals. So some went into him and started developing that throat cancer.
So is the girl still existing?
Yeah, the woman died just last year.
Really?
That little girl, she grew up and she just died last year. So she was a woman, an old woman.
At what age?
80 and above. Okay. 27th April is there, so you could present this information. 27th April was the day after he died. He died on 27th April 1972, so you can block that all this space. So this is their bedroom, and this is Nkrumah's picture. He took this picture with the mother on the same day. So you can see the background. We don't have his father's picture because Nkrumah's father died early in 1926, and at that time these fashion cameras were not there, and we couldn't have his father's picture, unfortunately. And even when Nkrumah was there, we couldn't have his picture because at that time they were not taking pictures. They were taking pictures, but not that they were not taking it that serious as we are. So we don't have his father's picture. We had the picture of the mother because even Nkrumah died before the mother. Nkrumah died 5 years before the mother died. And this picture, as I said, they took it on the same day. And the mother gave birth to Nkrumah alone. So Nkrumah has no siblings. He had no sibling, and he died before the mother. When he was president, anytime he comes to Nkrumah, this is where he stays. Remember I told you, he built house for the mother, and it is at the other side of the road. But whenever he comes to Nkrumah, he go and park his car there, moving up and down, but in the evening he'll come and stay here. And he'll come here without a bodyguard. So you won't even think that the president will come and be in this madhouse. So this was his room. So this is Kwame Nkrumah's original bed that he was using when he was president. Some of his staffs were here, but when the soldiers came, they took all away to Accra. So it was only this one that was left here.
Is there any history behind the flower? Or?
The flower? No.
Okay.
there's no newspaper behind. This is mother's room, but we don't have anything here. The mother was moved from this place to the top there. So when she was being moved, all her properties were moved along to that house. So this is the mother's room, but this is not the original bed that the mother was using.
You said the building was destroyed.
Nkrumah built a family house here. You know, that house is for the mother, but he built a family house here. In 1966, during the coup, they came to destroy this whole place because they wanted to eliminate everything about Nkrumah from the country. Not only that, but the things that Nkrumah built, some of the estate and so on, that Nkrumah built for the nation, they came to destroy most of them. Even Nkrumah built the chief palace of this place, Nkrofo. At that time, they were fortunate because the chief that was there at that time was an ex-military man. So he has to talk with the soldiers, and they didn't tie the building. Otherwise, they would have even destroyed that one too. And they destroyed this place. Estate that Nkrumah built at Nkrofo here, they came and destroyed most of the buildings. Right now, I think it is left with 5 buildings that is there.
Really?
And right now, the nation is benefiting from it because it is under the care of the Ministry of Housing and so on.
And what are they using it for?
They are renting it.
Renting it out to?
Yeah, they are renting it out to the people. In 1966, and it was built up again. In 1969, Buzia came here, and there was partial destruction of this place. After the coup, Buzia toured across the country, and he came to this place. Buzia was an opponent, political opponent of Nkrumah. But Buzia is from the same place of Nkrumah, Wenchi. Nkrumah, they have their roots from Wenchi, Brongahafo. But they were royals at that year, so Takwansai. So they were like brothers, or they share the same hometown. So when he toured across the country, when he got to this place, he saw the buildings were not befitting Nkrumah. So he suggested that they should do something well for the man. But because of what happened in 1966, the family members didn't want them to involve anything. So they came to destroy part of them, but the family stopped them, and they didn't come on it again. So that's when they destroyed the kitchen.
So under whose regime was the building destroyed?
As I said, 1966, during the coup, let's say, under the military. So they came to destroy this place. That is those who brought the coup in 1966. I don't want to mention it, but I hope you know them.
No, the truth has to be.
Oh, Afrifa and Kotoka, they were the champions of the coup. So that is a fact. And they led soldiers to this place, so they came to destroy this place. The renovation was done in 2004. After the body has been moved from this place. The renovation was done in 2004 after the body has been moved from this place. So it was done by J. Kotanko Bichebilamti, who was a tourism minister under President Kufuor's government.
Yeah.
So we are here because of the river, or this river. The name of the river is Subile, River Subile. And Subile is an Nzema language. So Subile means black river. The Su means river and Bile means black.
What language?
Nzema.
Oh,
So this river was having a black color, but because of the Galamsey activities, the illegal mining activities, that is why its color has changed. And this river was there before Nkrumah was born, but it plays significant history in the in Nkrumah's life. This river is mysterious, and the reason why the river is mysterious is when Nkrumah was young. When he was 2 years old, he was at the back of his mother going to farm. And anytime they are going to farm, they will come and pass here and cross this river to their farm. So one day, Nkrumah was going to farm with the mother. And as the mother was crossing the river, there was no bridge. So the mother was walking through the river. And as the mother was crossing, then Nkrumah, who was at the back of the mother, tapped the mother and shouted that, "Ma, stop, you are stuck on a fish." So the mother was not even aware that she was stuck on a fish. So she was even asking Nkrumah, "Where is the fish?" And whilst she was looking through the river, then she saw a very big fish there. And that was a mudfish. So she caught the fish and she was afraid that how come a fresh fish may be allowed her to catch it so easily. So she couldn't go to the farm and she returned the fish back home with Nkrumah and informed the husband about what happened. So the husband was a little bit surprised and he took the fish along with Nkrumah and the mother to the fetish priest of the village because that was the tradition there. And when they got there, the priest incantated and told them that they should go and inspect the fish and give it to Nkrumah alone to eat. Because what he has seen is that the child is going to be a great person in Ghana and to the whole of Africa. So it came to pass that Nkrumah was the first prime minister and the first president of Ghana. And so there is a river. And at first this was their main source of river, which they were using for their domestic purposes. But because of the illegal mining activities, that is why its color has changed and now the children are able to bath in it. And this river too, there was even a campaign time that our former president before, he came here and they told him about the story. And when he got to this place, he had a belief that when he used some of this river, become like Nkrumah, become the next president. So he used some to wash his hands and his face, and after the election, he wanted to become the president. Our late president, Mills, also came here and did the same thing. He also used the river, and he even slept at the hotel there. And in the evening, he came here to bath. And former President Mahama too had been here severally. 2020, he came here, but unfortunately, he ended his tour at the tomb site where Nkrumah was buried. He didn't get to this place. Because he was left with his last campaign that he has to go and do, and he sacrifice for the campaign that he'll be here when he gets time, but he didn't come again. Nanado also came here for the first time and he didn't believe. That was when he was contesting with Professor Mills. He didn't believe, so he lost, and it was 2016 that he came here and he used and he won. And there are visitors to who comes around and they use for different purposes and it works for them. So this is also a historical river that plays a significant role in the history of the river. So River Subile. Okay, so my name is Stephen Kando.
Do you have a fetish priest that worship the river?
No. We don't have any fetish priest that lives to serve this river. We don't have anything like that. Remember, I said this river, this was a source of river for the community. So this was what they were using for their washing, cooking, bathing, and little things. And even this river hasn't taken someone before. No one has drowned in this river. No one has died in this river before.
So, is there a special way of praying or when people come here? Do they pour libation or do they is it a Christian way or a traditional way?
Okay, we don't have any formalities that one has to pass through before using this river. You know, me staying here for a little while at the museum, you know, I'm even attached to believe that this river has some of the features of the Jordan River. Because people come to this place and they use it as a place for them. They just use it to wash their hands, their face. Some even fetch it with a container, and later they'll call you that they will come around and fetch it because what they use the water for, is working and so on. So there is no any formality of there is no any formality one has to pass through before using this river.
So when after it waits for them, do they come here to give thanks to the river, or is there any way?
No, even as I said, president, people have passed here before becoming president, and if there is any thanks or appreciation, it should have come from these people. They can even develop this place that Nkrumah or Nkrumah has served Ghana before, or Nkrumah was a national asset before. So we want to do this in remembrance of him, but there is nothing like that. There is nothing like you have to come back and thank him.
So how do you know that it has worked for others? Because since
they call you to confess. I remember there was a time I was here. I had a visitor, and I had a feeling that this person hasn't been here. And when I started talking to her, so after I finished, going with her around inside the museum, the visitor told me that no, she has heard there is a river here. She has said that there is a river here, and I said, how come? Have you been here before? And she said no. Her friend came here to use this river, and a lot of things are working for the friend, and it was the friend that told her to come to this place. So she wasn't even coming here, but she came around in Zema communities, and she inquired that this place is not far from where she got to. So she used that opportunity to come here, and you could see from her narration that everything, all her coming was because of the river. There is no any significant history about this tree. You see there are several trees here, but this one, there was a bigger one here, and it fell in 1972. April, the same month that Nkrumah died, and this same tree came up, and it had been there since 1972. So we don't have any special things about the trees around. Behind every bank river, there are trees there. And, but there is an interpretation that because this same tree came up in the same month that Nkrumah died, and another felt, and this one came up in the same place, people have the belief that there will be a great person too coming up from this community. That's all. But there is no any special interpretation. These are what people are saying. So it's not wholly true. But we are praying that this will happen.